Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining back. I think one of the biggest drawbacks of having an online show is these small technical issues. But don't worry, MeTV's always got your back. We were having the wonderful pianist Sarang give an amazing and soulful tribute for August 15th, which was yesterday, by the way. So, can we have Sarang again for us? Thank you, Sarang. Thank you so much. How are
My,
you?
my pleasure. I'm doing really well. Thank you. How are you, Mansa?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you so much. So, this is actually the first time ever we're having a pianist on our show. Like I told you, even before the show started, we've had a lot of different kinds of people.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of singers actually, and doodler once, and then we had somebody who was a drummer. So, I mean, for me personally, I love playing the piano, even listening to it. So for me, I'm super excited for the show. How are you feeling today?
Yeah, good, good. It's actually my first experience being on ETV. And I'm so used to recording in my studio that going live is a completely different feel, that I'm playing in front of the screen and there's many viewers watching. So
True.
yeah, it's good. Excited.
That's amazing. So, how has COVID been treating you? Like staying at home now, the restrictions are even more harsh. So, how has it been treating you?
I would be one of the anomalies that would say that I'm actually liking it. Liking the fact that I'm able to spend not about what's happening out there, but I'm liking the fact that I'm able to spend more time doing music, more time devoting to music that would otherwise be spent doing, just going life. You're running around doing all your different things, and I would get, an hour tops, perhaps every evening to practice piano or do anything even remotely close to music. But since everything's just disappeared now, the working from home, music from home, everything's just where I'm sitting right now. This is my control station.
That's amazing. So you're an engineer by profession, and like music is more like your passion, right? So it's like you're an engineer in the morning, like going to work, wearing your suit, and in the evening you're like playing music, right? So how did that happen? Like how did you manage to actually keep your passion alive?
It's been difficult. So my background is of a classical pianist. So I studied classical piano for quite a while, about at least about 10 to 12 years. And after that, I sort of branched out more into doing music for the band, and I did my own solo stuff as well. It takes a lot of, I guess, a lot of passion that has to come from here,
Yeah.
in order for you to devote this amount of time to music. And it's just something that I've really enjoyed doing since my childhood. Since I picked up the piano. Before that, I used to play the tabla. So since 7, 8 years old, been doing music, and it took a while, but now it's just sort of ingrained within me that I must spend this amount of time doing something. Be it
Yeah.
recording, be it playing something, be it if it wasn't for COVID, performing out there with my band. So it takes a lot, but you just have to find time somehow to do it. If you're passionate, then you get it done anyhow.
True. Yeah, that's rightly said. So you've also been collaborating with a lot of artists, even though it's locked down. I don't think that's stopping you at all because you're constantly experimenting. How has that experience been?
Lockdown's actually been, it's new, and it's new not just for me, it's new for everyone. The platform that you and I are conversing on right now is what's become dominant for music over platforms like Facebook or Instagram or
True.
YouTube. That
True.
you It's so easy to communicate with someone you don't even know right on the other side of the planet. That you say that, oh, hey, you're a singer. Oh, I play piano. Are you interested in singing this song? And he or she
Yeah.
goes, yeah, sure, why not? So then you start conversing, and then musicians start talking, saying, what scale I'm going to be performing that song, and then you just send recordings back and forth. The internet's played a vital role in it, and
True.
it's new, but now I see everyone doing it. But it's just amazing because previously you would be restricted to, or not, you'd be mentally restricting yourself into thinking that, hey, I'm in Melbourne, so I can only perform with musicians in Melbourne.
True. Yeah. Yeah.
Now the domain's changed. Now it's expanded globally, so I can collaborate with someone in the United States, someone in New Zealand, someone in India, and it's totally fine.
Yeah, I think internet has totally changed our way of life.
Absolutely.
Now a new normal is this, like
Exactly.
conversing this way. Yeah. So, what have you been working on recently, like lately?
Lately, I've been devoting a lot of my time to just get back into this whole piano playing because how I mentioned being an engineer and trying to record music in the studio. It it got me away from uh, what I fundamentally learned doing, which is playing piano. And I could feel that I just needed to work a little bit more to practice piano and just get my technique to where it was, 5 or 6 years ago. So the
Yeah.
last 2 or 3 months, I've been really trying to focus on playing the piano, and it's a struggle because what you see here is my synthesizer, but my actual piano is back at my parents' place, and
Oh.
they live just outside the 5 kilometer radius that's restricted the travel. So I'm not able to go and play on the actual instrument at the moment, but I'm sure the time will come in the next couple of months that I can go back.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So on that note, Sarang, can we have another piece by you? I think like there are a lot of people who are already waiting to hear from you.
Absolutely. So here's one that we were actually talking about earlier. This is needs no introduction. It's Peranasha that I think every single Indian musician out there, or Indian, shouldn't say musician, Indian person out there,
Yeah.
and in India as well, would be quite familiar with this. So we always give a brief glimpse into Pelanasha piano style.
Awesome. Beautiful, beautiful. This is actually this happens to be my father's like favorite song.
Oh yeah,
Every time we're in the car, he's like, "Why hasn't the song come yet in
yeah.
the radio?"
I
So
it's quite interesting because this is one of the most requested songs that I get everywhere I'm performing. There's going to be at least one person at the in the middle of the performance that comes close to the stage and go, "Hey, can you play Pehla Nasha, please?" Hence, I said it needs no introduction. It's just so popular.
True.
Yeah.
True. So, Sarang, let me take you like back in time, and can you tell me when did this craze to like learn piano start for you? You said you also play the tabla, right? We'll get to that in a while. But how did you actually become so interested in learning the piano?
Piano. We bought a little keyboard. We used to live in another house. So this was when I say we, it's my mom, dad, and I. We used to live in a different house. We bought a little keyboard just because my mother used to play the harmonium when she was young, and we'd recently moved to Australia. So we thought, okay, we'll get a keyboard so that mom can start practicing again.
Hmm.
We got it home, and one day I was the one who was actually trying to fiddle around, trying to play each note, and suddenly I made a tune, and this was like must have been, I can't remember what song it was, but it must have been some Hindi song.
Yeah.
What, this is great. Like, I can actually do this, and I never played keyboard/piano before in my life. And slowly I started piecing the melodies together, and that was only with the right hand, mind you, at the time.
Hmm,
So
hmm, hmm.
I really started enjoying myself, and this was around the time when YouTube was just starting up, so
Uh,
2005, around that.
2005. Yeah.
Yeah, so YouTube wasn't as prevalent as it is now. And the fact of someone uploading tutorials of how to play a song, they were far few in between. But I managed to find a couple, someone playing piano, and then I realized, oh man, he has his right hand, he's got his left hand, and his both hands are doing something different. And I was really fascinated by it. So I watched these tutorials of someone who's placed the camera above and
Yeah.
then see both his hands, and then I started practicing with two hands. My grandfather bought me a book on how to read music, and
Wow.
slowly, it was a self-taught process where I taught myself how to I guess notations. I taught myself how to read music, and I started branching out more. I started exploring, and this was when I 14, 15. So my thinking was just getting broader. I got more into classical music after that, Western classical, and that's
Yeah.
when I really discovered that, oh man, like this is how piano is supposed to be played,
Yeah.
and that's where it started. So I learned classical piano then, like I said before, for about 10 years after that. I started with that small keyboard, and then after I completed my year 12, my parents bought me an actual piano, and life after I played,
Life changed.
yeah, it's a wonderful instrument. Play that. Uh, and yeah, that's when I started taking lessons.
So it
And
was much later.
it was much later. So five
Hmm.
years I taught myself, and that's after that I got into lessons.
Wow, interesting. So during this period, when was it that you actually started learning tabla?
Tabla was back when we were in India. So I started learning tabla when I was about 7 years old,
Hmm.
and it was something my parents got me into because I would try and play tabla on or try and play a beat on every single surface that I would see. Tabla I would be playing here. So my mom thought, okay, let's get him into tabla lessons. seven
Yeah.
years old, I learned for about 4 years, 4 or 5 years, and it stopped when we moved to Australia. And then piano's taken over my life after that. It's just been obsession since then.
So how different would you say are these instruments? Of course, they're different in nature and play itself,
Yeah,
but how was it for you to transition from tabla where you're doing that into this?
very different. Melodic instrument, piano, and a percussive instrument, tabla. Uh,
Yeah.
Piano always captivated me more.
Hmm.
Uh, Tabla, I learned. I still like. I'm really out of practice now, but I still like it. But piano's just fascinated me a lot more. I just find myself gravitating more towards melodies and trying to create my own melodies, and playing some beautiful compositions that have already been composed. And that's what drew me into it. There was just a different world. You
Yeah.
have two books, and each each of those books is good, but
Hmm,
I just
hmm.
got better.
Yeah,
That's how.
that's amazing. That's amazing. So, Sarang, do you also happen to like play very not just like Hindi songs, right? You play different language songs. Let me put it that way. So, one of the songs was from this very famous South Indian movie, Vinay Tandi Varvaya. So, you're
Uh,
technically not a South Indian, right?
no, I'm a Maharashtrian.
So, how do you connect with a different language song while you're playing?
It's I would say it's the twofold reasons. Firstly, I'm very drawn by maestros like A.R. Rahman, Raja. They've done some amazing work down south. Um, when I started exploring some of A.R. Rahman's, just to use A.R. Rahman's example, I started exploring some of the music that Rahman had released in the Bollywood industry, and
Hmm.
that led me down the path of what he's done for example, the Tamil film industry.
Yeah.
And when that's when I realized that, oh, hang on, this movie Satya is actually a remake of Alaipayuthi. Till then, I didn't know, but when I started researching, that's when I got into okay, what is say Rahman's contribution, Ilaiyaraaja's contribution in the South, and it was so vast, and those
Hmm.
compositions were just so good that it drew me more into South Indian music after that as well. And then later on, I met who's now my wife, Tejasvi. She's from Chennai.
Ah, now I see the connection. Yeah.
So that's why I said twofold. So she got me introduced to a lot of other South Indian music.
Hmm.
And she sent me links to a lot of music from the 60s and 70s, these golden compositions that I didn't even know existed. And when I listened, I was like, wow, I was blown away by how good they were. And also to add, just something I forgot, I just realized
Mm-hmm.
is my band, the Fifths. We've got 5 members in the band, 3 of whom are South Indians. We've got
Oh.
yeah, one Tamilian and 2 Telugu people. So they used to often, share links, and we used to often perform when we used to go and perform around Melbourne. We used to perform a lot of South Indian songs as well. We used to mash them up. So we just to use an example, you might be familiar with A.R. Rahman's
Yeah.
Dil Se and Kannire. We used to fuse them together. So you got Tamil and you got Hindi, and that used to work wonders on the crowd. You that
True.
that would satisfy everyone.
Yeah, yeah. Everybody can relate to it. They're like, oh, we know this language. Oh, we know this language as well. That's a good fusion. So,
Yeah.
Sarang, one of the viewers are actually requesting you to play something from Satya.
Satya. Uh, okay, maybe I can try the title track from Satya.
Yeah.
See how we go. Yeah, this is completely ad hoc. We'll see how we go.
Beautiful. That was absolutely beautiful. Is this like, so if you cannot, let's say, practice every day, you can't practice all the songs every day, right? So what is your like technique of remembering the chords, if I'm right, if the word I'm using is right?
It's absolutely right. Um, I guess to put it frankly, I know how the song sounds like, and if I'm able to hear it in my head, then it's just a matter of there's a little bit of theory that comes into play. But if you're able to then work out, about let's say 50% of the tune, you can guess the other 50%, and generally it turns out to be more or less correct. And if it's
Hmm.
not correct, just find a way to mask your mistakes.
Oh,
That
that's actually quite good, because see, when I see somebody who's playing an instrument, I always imagine that they have certain notes that they keep in mind, and that's how they play.
yeah,
But when you titter away from that, if the sound is weird or off beat,
yeah,
so how do you actually cover that? Let's say you're playing a song and you're going a bit off beat. Is there
yeah.
a way you know that you can cover it up?
Uh, Sometimes I think the key to remember is that what you think is a mis or what I think is a mistake is something that the audience or viewers may not necessarily have registered.
Hmm.
The key, and this is something I'm really bad at, mind you, this key is to not show that you made a mistake on your face.
Yeah, like, oh no.
So if I'm playing something and I just look up going, oh, hang on,
Yeah,
then
yeah.
yeah, I've made a mistake. But if I'm able to play another key and maybe a couple of touches here and there, then they might think that it's a purposeful thing, that I've just introduced it for a reason, and they go with the flow. So it's just a matter of, convincing them that you intended to do it.
Ah,
And
yeah.
else no, just to backtrack, I made a couple of mistakes when playing Satya as well. For,
Really?
for people who might know the song, they might have picked up and they'll probably text me after that saying you made a mistake during this point. But maybe someone who's not so familiar, hasn't heard the song for a while, perhaps he may not pick up.
So you just slyly escape that small mistakes.
That's right. And
Yeah.
when I upload videos on Instagram, it's usually my missus who's taking the video, right. And
Mm-hmm.
when she puts me on video, that's when I suddenly get really conscious. So till then I'm playing all right. But as soon as the camera's on me, I'm like, oh, okay. Suddenly there's a mental blank. Just
Yeah.
to deal with it, just have to learn and just move on, and you slowly plow through it. Eventually, you get better at it.
True, true. So, Sarang, you also happen to be a music producer, right?
Yeah, somewhat.
Yeah, that's good. So one of the viewers actually had a question, and this is coming from me as well. So one of the viewers has actually asked you, what do you recommend for people who are, let's say, new to learning the piano? What would your first few, let's say, instructions or advice be for them?
YouTube is your friend. Is YouTube is your best friend, because the amount of material that's on YouTube is incredible. If you are a complete beginner who's just starting out, or if you're an advanced player who wants to learn something new and wants to improve their skills further, um, you gotta use YouTube. The other thing is, I know it's really hard during lockdown, um, but going to a music shop and getting a
Oh,
book that teaches you the basic music and how to read music and notations. That's
oh,
that is also an aspect to be explored. Um, One thing I would say not to do is a lot, and this is what a lot of people would do. And let me talk just for a minute, just a little bit of music
sure,
theory,
sure.
which is everyone's familiar with those notes. Like if I say Sarang Pazani, when people start learning this, what they do is they write the note names on each of the keys.
Yeah,
So, so that they know that, oh, that's an E, that's a G, that's a B, or that's a
yeah.
Sa, that's a M. My suggestion is to not do that, because
Hmm.
the more you look at it, the less it's registered in your brain. But if you force you to learn that this key corresponds to this note,
Yeah.
and if you drill it into your mind, you will never get it wrong. And
Yeah,
then
you can even probably close your eyes and
Exactly. It's muscle memory. It's as simple as muscle memory. After that, you start playing, and then eventually, you can not look at it and play, and because it's just ingrained in my hand now that this is what I'm supposed to do. It's
Yeah.
it's hard to do at first, but by all means, buy yourself a little keyboard. That's a 61 key keyboard that you can get from any music shop.
Mhm.
Fire up YouTube and start playing. Get a music
Yeah.
book. Talk to people who you know are musicians, because more often than not they're more than happy to share their knowledge and their 2 cents with you. It just
Yeah.
gives them that satisfaction that someone's reached out to them and asked for a little bit of help. So
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
that oh, hang on, no, he's really good, I can't go and ask him. Nice, there's nothing like that. Musicians, any musician worth his or her salt is happy to help out someone who's just starting out on this journey.
Yeah, that's amazing, Sarang. So, as a music producer, have you actively produced songs?
I have. I do a lot of instrumental music, more than songs with lyrics.
Mm.
So it's more about piano is one thing, but using strings, or I don't know if you can see in my camera. There's a couple of keyboards there. They're my little synthesizers that I use to produce some electronic sounds as well. That that I can use my software, my laptop, which is behind me, and record everything onto the laptop and just come up with new concepts. So they're all instrumentals. You got strings, you got music that's somewhat like background music for films, perhaps
Yeah.
suited for a certain mood. Something's you think of a happy thought or a happy video that you may have on your phone, and you try and write music to suit that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Test yourself playing a movie. Let's take a famous movie. Let's take Harry Potter, for example. First thing that comes to my mind. Take a scene from Harry Potter, play it on mute, and try and write music to that.
Interesting. You have a
Really,
really different take on how you're interpreting music.
yeah, it's a combination of being self-taught and having a teacher as well. And
Yeah.
plus, I've got some amazing friends who I'm sure are tuned into this feed at the moment, who are some great musicians. So every time you talk to them over the phone, or if it wasn't for coronavirus, you meet them in
Mm.
person,
True.
and what's known as a jam. You jam with them, and you come up with different concepts, and you're helping each other get better. It's not a competition. I'm working with my friend who plays the guitar. I'm working with a singer of mine, and together we are each learning from each other, and it's just taking our knowledge individually
Yeah.
and collectively to the next level.
Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually, and it's really good that you have a rather not very different but a unique approach towards learning music, and I think it'll help a lot of people who are just starting off as, let's say, pianists. So there was one of the viewer who was asking if you can play little bit of Yanni's One Man Dream.
This is something that I uploaded to Instagram just a little while ago, actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Coincidence or not, I'm not sure, but let me see if I can remember it.
Okay.
That's about it, I think.
That's good. That's good.
Still,
It's
still
good.
getting still sinking into my brain, actually.
That's fine. That's fine. So now that let's take a bit of the people's request, because a lot of people seem to be enjoying what you're playing. And one of them even gave you a message that you're amazing. wash hands, wash hands. I think
Oh,
it's become a slogan for everyone.
I should just put a hand sanitizer over here saying,
Like play and then play and then.
that's
So
it.
that's
But
so
hey, I'm the only one touching this keyboard, yeah, so it's okay.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Everybody hear that, hear that. So one of them wanted to hear the Game of Thrones theme song. Actually, I would want to hear that as well.
Game of Thrones. Something I haven't played for a few years actually. Let's all right, let's see how we go.
Beautiful. I think you won a few hearts right now, honestly, including mine, because it happens to be one of my favorite shows.
It
And
is.
everybody's eager when the music starts. We're like, oh, Game of Thrones is on, you know?
It's amazing. The Game of Thrones composer, Ramin Djawadi.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of music, and if there's one thing that's taken that show to the next level, it's the music.
The music itself. True. Yeah.
Ardently from seasons 1 to seasons 8, and it's the music's been, yeah, it's just it's hand in hand with the video and the way everything just has come together.
Yeah.
That show is just incredible.
Yeah. True. True. So, Sarang, you had mentioned that you're a classical pianist, right?
Yeah,
So, what is the exact definition of somebody who is a classical pianist?
that's a very good question. It's a very loosely used term, classical,
True.
because
Yes. Yes.
when someone says classical, the true classical era, I and this might be me making up some years here, but I think it was around the 1700s mark. You had the predecessor to the classical era was the Baroque era. You might be familiar with composers like Bach,
Yeah.
J.S. Bach. He was one of the ones who wrote music for the Baroque era. You had Mozart, who everyone knows.
Yeah.
Mozart actually was um, in the classical era. So he wrote a lot of music during that time. Uh, that was succeeded by what was called the Romantic movement or Romanticism by composers like Beethoven or Chopin.
Oh.
But what people then think that their music falls into is classical. So they just use this big umbrella term called classical music, and all the music that's been written for piano, back before the 1900s,
Mm-hmm.
it all just fell under this big bucket called classical music. Once you start looking into it and studying a bit deeper, you realize that there's a lot more into it. There's a lot more, I guess, to be explored. Different eras of music and how each composer was influenced by the works of his predecessor, and then made it better. And there was
Yeah.
music that was in the early 1900s, which is not strictly speaking classical, but people still associate with it just purely because it's that old. That you think that this was written in 1908. Okay, classical music.
Classical. Okay.
Not
Yeah.
really, but yeah, but that's, I guess, it's just to summarize, just a broad term, classical music.
Yeah. And what would you, let's say, define as what is Western classical?
Western classical is simply a term that Indians and people from the subcontinent use to
Oh.
differentiate between Hindustani classical or Carnatic classical and say
Hmm.
that, hey, play classical, but not this, that. So I want to hear Western classical. So play me some Mozart, play me some Beethoven, play me some someone else. And it's just something that's been popularized by these people. And I use it myself. When people say, oh, you play piano, what do you play? Oh, I'm trained in Western classical. And then it's a term that just it clicks in their minds. That, oh, okay, so you play Western classical. And doesn't mean that you play with people like like Zakir Hussain, or these are more of the Eastern classical kind of people.
Ah, that makes more sense actually. It kind of clarified some things for me as well because, like you said, everything that's from the past is just put under this huge umbrella term that, oh, it's classical music. So we
Yeah,
just tend to believe that, we're
that's
like, oh, that is classical. Oh, I love classical without knowing the actual meaning behind it.
that's right. And composers they wrote music in a certain style, and those styles are very similar, but people will still associate with that as classical music. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just
Yeah.
once you start seeing it, you realize that there's a lot more to it.
Yeah, yeah. So can you play something Western classical that sort of is different from classical music itself?
I can try.
Okay, okay.
I'll, I'll try. I'll try for a few seconds.
Sure.
Um, see how we. The, this is a piece by Beethoven. It's it's from one of his solo piano works. I'll just play a little bit to see how much I can actually remember it.
Sure.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to stop there. I want to play something else because my hands are a little bit cold at the moment. It's a bit cold in
Okay.
the. I'm going to try
Okay.
a slower piece. This is also by Beethoven, but I'm going to try something a little different. This is called the Moonlight Sonata.
Oh, I know this.
Just a small excerpt from the whole piece. It's about 4.5 5 minutes long. The whole thing. It's one
So,
of the.
is
Sorry.
sorry, is there like a meaning behind certain like notes why they're played a certain way, or why somebody performs a certain musical for a certain amount of time?
Is it in reference to what I played before?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I'll use that as an example.
Sure.
This is part of something called a piano sonata. In again, to use a broad term, classical music, the piano sonata evolved as having a number of different movements. When I say movements, it's a whole piano piece consisting of smaller piano pieces to make one, I guess, portfolio, if you like. The traditional format used to be that the first movement would be a fast piece and technically challenging. The second movement would then slow down and give the player a chance to relax and a chance to just catch his breath before the big finale, which is the third movement, and that would comprise the sonata. What I played before was actually a deviation. So what Beethoven actually did was, when he wrote the Moonlight Sonata, he wrote the first movement as being slow, which is what I played.
Ah,
So he did a slow, fast, fast combination rather than a fast, slow, fast. So he took a little bit of creative liberty. Now you might say that, in the music that you listen to today, there's a lot of creative liberty because you have a whole avenue open to you to yourself when you composing music on your computer. But when it comes to classical, and this is something that people who've been trained in Indian and Hindustani and Carnatic classical will also attest to, is that
Hmm.
sometimes the rules are defined. In a rag, the notes of the rag are defined. The moment you deviate from those notes, you're changing the rag. So just like that, Western classical music, to use that term again, um,
Yeah.
the same sort of philosophy where you have to play what the composer's written. The moment you start taking creative liberty and start introducing your own notes, if
Hmm.
you're writing an exam and an assessor is judging you, they'll fail you. It's an instant fail because you haven't played what the composer has asked you to
Oh,
play.
studio. Ah,
When it
interesting.
comes to styles like jazz or blues, there is very little written music when it comes to jazz and blues. These
Hmm.
genres are more along the lines of improvisation, and they test your skill as a player. It doesn't have to be a piano player; it could be anyone. You play
Hmm.
any instrument. But if you're playing music from that genre, then you
Yeah.
have complete creative freedom to play whatever you like.
Hmm.
With
That makes a lot of sense. Actually, like more than I've always understood a pianist as a certain way, but
yeah,
hearing all this is really opening like a lot of doors in my head because
yeah,
you're always seeing certain things. Oh, somebody playing, and then you're like, oh, okay, cool. But there's so much history behind any evolution,
that's right,
right? So
exactly.
one of the viewers has requested for another song, and this happens to be my like most favorite song.
Okay.
It's Iktara from, I think, Wake Up Sid. So
Oh, right.
can you play that for us?
Let's see if I remember it. It's actually one of my favorites as well. I can't actually. Just give me a sec. I'm just gonna try and.
Awesome, awesome. It was so good. Sometimes it takes time, right, for you to, let's say, suddenly if somebody asks you, hey, can you play this song?
Yeah,
You have to, it takes some time. Okay, wait, how does this song go?
that's right.
Right?
When
Right?
you're when,
So,
when you're on camera, you don't want to sit there experimenting, right? So that's why I switched it around. I started playing the chorus first.
chorus, yeah, yeah, I realized, yeah.
So just in the hope that once I play that, I'll remember how the other bit started. So luckily, it came to me.
That's good. That's good. So now that you did play like a lot of songs, I'm sure like all the people want to know a bit more about your YouTube channel. So can you sort of tell where people can find, under what name can they find you so they can subscribe to more like soulful content?
Sure thing. So it's Sarang, Sarang, my first name, and my last name Majumdar, Mujumda. It's youtube.com Sarang Majumdar. That's where I upload a lot of videos uh, from time to time. But I think Instagram would be the platform that I actually actively upload videos to,
Hmm.
and all my collaborations and everything. My I guess my energies are focused more on Instagram and then YouTube and Facebook. But you can follow me anywhere you like, and get in touch
Yeah.
with me.
No, I
So
think now Instagram has become like a very millennial oriented platform. Everybody is like, oh, I have an Instagram account, and it's so easy because you can tag, you can put up a story. There's so many things, right? So, is there a particular like motto that you live by for your music that really like represents you, Sarang, as a pianist?
Manasa, I'm still finding my sound, if I can put it that way. I'm not trying to, I guess, put myself in this box at the moment and saying that this is me.
Hmm,
I'm
hmm,
trying to experiment and really trying to open my boundaries and horizons to see where I go in the next 5 to 10 years.
hmm.
It has to be something music related, but I haven't thought of this is me, like this is what I do. Certainly piano features in pretty much everything that I do, and that's just because it's my strong point, as compared to some other instruments. But I'm still finding my feet. I'm still trying to get there. It'll take a while, but I think if you ask me this in maybe 5 years time, I might have a better answer for you.
Yeah, yeah. So, in this whole journey of like who you are today, who would you call like your biggest inspiration, or let's say your guru? Like you haven't learned from them, let's say face to face, but that person has always been your inspiration.
It's a tough question. When you but I'll go with the first name that came to my mind.
Yeah.
Um, has to be A.R. Rahman,
Hmm.
because his music. Incidentally, I was watching Lagan about 3 days ago,
Hmm.
which I believe is one of A.R. Rahman's masterpieces. And it inspires me because he has written music that is very traditional Indian.
Yeah.
And the Indian, it could be, Lagan, where he's used, North Indian instruments, or instruments from Gujarat, for example. His music in the South, where he's used instruments that are more South-focused instruments. And
Yeah.
he's also written symphonies. He's also written symphonic music for Indian film cinema. And not
True.
just that, he has his own music out there as well. He inspires me every day. If I can, get 5% of what A.R. Rahman's actually achieved till date, I'll be a very happy man after that.
That's amazing. So,
Number of, sorry, there's a number of influences that come to my mind, but Rahman's name is the first one that came to me.
yeah, so there is this game as well, like people usually play. When you ask them something, what's the first thing that comes to your head, and that is the answer to everything, you know. So the minute I asked you, "Wait, who's your inspiration?" you were like, "No questions. It's A.R. Rahman,"
I,
and I agree actually because he's truly like a living legend at the moment. His music speaks like volumes.
exactly, and I
Yeah.
grew up listening to A.R. Rahman's music right from the days of Roja. I think I must have been. I don't remember the exact year when Roja came out, but I must have been like a couple of years old maybe at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So
remember, I think Roja came out in 1997 because that's when I was born.
97 was it? Oh, so it came much later than I thought it did. Okay.
I think so, I'm assuming. I think there are a few more requests.
Hmm.
Would you like to play these requests like back to back for them?
All right. What are those requests? I'll see if I can.
Yeah, okay, okay. So the first song is Magnificent 17. Are you
I
aware of that?
I will say that I don't actually know that theme. Sorry,
Oh, that
sorry to disappoint.
That's okay. That's fine. That's fine. You've actually been quite supportive for all the, requests we've been having. So can you play any song from the movie Darbar, if you
Darbar,
know any?
Darbar, is that Rajnikant's movie?
Yeah, yeah.
Ah, again, this is my second disappointment. I I can't. I don't know any songs from. I might have to revisit them after this.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. You don't have to be sorry at all. You're actually making our Sunday even more happier, actually, by playing some good tunes. So, if not these, can we have two of your most favorite A.R. Rahman songs for us?
Sure, sure, we can do that. Um, let's put. Okay, we were talking about Roja. I'll see
Yeah.
if I can play.
Oh, sorry. So sorry to stop you. So, Roja is one of the requests, and another song they have said is Pachai Nirame.
That's Satya.
Yeah,
I
Satya, I know. I think they came late for us.
maybe maybe that person tune. Yeah, a bit later. Maybe I can just do a quick round of Satya again. First one was Roja. So let me start
Yeah.
with. I can't remember the Tamil name for this song, but Ye Hasi Wadiya.
Huh. ஒரு வெள்ளை ஒரு வெள்ளை மயிங்கு. Yeah.
All right, let's see how I go. I'll try that once more.
Sure, sure. Well, you were lying before that you couldn't like you make a face while you make a mistake. No, you look quite confident even when you make one. You're like, you know what? I need to get it right.
I completely forgotten the Roja song actually, when it came to me the second time.
Yeah,
It,
it's good. It's good. So you've also been performing like live in front of the audience, right? Is it with your band usually?
yes. So the band, the Fifths. Shout out to any of the guys if you're listening. Rohan, Harsha, Adi, AP, if you guys are listening in and watching, rather. We've been performing since 2012, and yeah, performing around different venues in Melbourne. We've been fortunate enough to play with some really famous artists like Udit Narayan and Lucky Ali, name a couple. And those were, I guess, experiences that changed our musical journey for us, especially the Lucky Ali gig, where an accomplished musician comes into the studio and watches us bunch of amateurs play music, and he goes, "Hang on, guys, that's not how it's supposed to be done. Maybe try this," and the world just changed after that. So we've
Yeah.
been Melbourne Town Hall, Federation Square, a couple of venues that we performed at. and some really good experiences, and we've all bonded together as a group.
Yeah, I
And it's
mean,
been
8 years is a very good amount of time, that you guys have spent together.
yeah,
So I think everything you guys create will be so much fun at this point, right?
right. And we've gotten past the point where we think of each other as band. It's more family, That's
Yeah.
sometimes the WhatsApp chats, there's no end to it. You might be busy working and the chats don't stop because someone's joking around. So yeah, it's something that we'll never be able to let go because we love each
Yeah.
other so.
So, what are you guys called? What is your band called?
We call the Fifths.
The Fifths. Okay. Okay.
Again, there's a, there's a musical reason why we call the Fifths, but anyway, we are five people. We've got two singers, actually three singers, because the third person who's a guitarist, he's a bit of a jack of all trades because he plays everything on out there on the planet. Um, Harsha, if you're watching, and we've got AP, who's an amazing drummer herself, and yeah, together we've released some music. We've played a lot of famous songs out there, and it's been an amazing journey so far.
That's beautiful. I wish you and the Fifths all the luck. I
Thank
get it, like COVID has restricted us to go outside and perform and everything, but I guess you guys are still doing wonders if anybody tunes into your Instagram or YouTube as well. So, before we actually conclude the show, there are a lot of requests from people. If
you.
you can
Okay,
just play 30 seconds of each of these songs, I think it'll make their day.
rapid fire round. Let's see.
So,
Um,
can we start with Dil Se?
okay, let's try this.
Awesome.
Might have gone over my 30 seconds there. Got carried away a little bit.
Sorry, I think the internet connection is a bit
Oh,
slow again. Now I can see you again. So what? Sorry, what were you saying?
I think I said I got a little bit carried away. I might have gone past my 30-second limit.
No, oh, there's no limit. I don't mind at all, and I don't think the people mind either. They're honestly enjoying, I guess.
That's
So
good.
the next one is the very famous Bella Ciao.
Oh, Bella Ciao. If I remember that.
Awesome. So everybody who's still with us, don't worry at all. Sometimes the connection can be a bit off. Don't be worried at all. If we get frozen on screen, you guys stay right at your seats because we'll be back in just a few seconds. Next, there are a few Harry Potter fans here. So, a Harry Potter theme for them.
You guys are testing me. Here we go.
Awesome, awesome. So now we're done with the requests. Can we have what, let's say, Sarang's favorite track is? Can you play your favorite piece that truly like defines you and your music?
Um, I'll go back to now. Someone may have to do a little bit of research because I can't actually remember this, but it's one of my favorite songs, which is it's a Hindi song. It's Phoolon ke Rang Se.
Ah,
That's
I
sung
think
by.
I know the song. Yeah.
It's a Rafi song, I think. So I'll try. I love playing it because uh, it's everything I do. You know, it's instrumental, and I like playing it. I use whatever I know to play the song, and I'll just play it briefly.
Thank you, Sarang. Thank you so much for dedicating your evening to all of us.
My pleasure.
Because
Thank you so much, Mansa, on Me TV. It's been a great experience.
thank you, Sarang. And that is the whole point of what MeTV does. It really takes that extra step to sort of host such amazing talents like yourself, who just need a platform to showcase how amazing they are. Like
Yeah.
how you just made our quarantine evening so much better, honestly, because everybody has been like slogging off at home, and you're so positive, and you're like, make the most of it. I think that's amazing. And what's
Thank
even better about you is how you played everyone's song without any complaint, and that shows how humble you are. Thank you, Sarang.
No, thank you. The pleasure is mine. Thanks for having
So
me
is
again.
there anything that you want to share to the viewers who came in today?
I think just we just gotta remember be positive. Positive thoughts is everything. So if you're a musician, you might be a dancer, you might be a painter, whatever it is, just keep up your hobby, um, and positive thoughts will get you out of where we are at the moment.
Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you so much, Sarang, and thank you each and everyone who tuned in and is religiously coming back every week to watch the artists on MeTV. Your support means a lot. Thank you so much, and I'll be back next week, same time at 6 p.m. with another amazing artist. Until then, it's Mansa signing off on behalf of MeTV, and thank you once again, Sarang. Take
Thank
care
you.
of yourself. Bye.
Thank